MOPBOYZ, MOPBOYZ, MOPBOYZ. When that two-stroke pop, tell me who want to smoke with us. 12 o'clock on your block, this Zuma scraping and won't stop. Make them 70s rip, this caster smell like piss. In that balance point can't miss. Get behind me, throttle up and
Today, we are trying out the Yozma In10 e-bike. Now, I guess you could consider this more of a E-moto, if you will, since it kind of resembles more of a dirt bike. This is a 48-bolt full suspension e-bike, and we are out here in the desert today to put some testing in and see what it's really about. It looks pretty sick. It looks like a 110 dirt bike, if you will. It is pretty light, actually. I was pretty surprised on how light this thing is for an e-bike, because typically the batteries are super heavy on e-bikes, but actually this thing is pretty light, so it makes it even more fun because it doesn't need too much power to get some fun out of this thing. We got like a dirt bike style seat. I really like the aesthetics of this thing. It's probably one of the best looking cheap e-motos on the market right now compared to the 2TO and some of the other ones we reviewed previously. This one looks way better. We're gonna get more details on this bike because this thing showed up in a box at our front door a couple days ago. We assembled it and got out here ripping. That's right, this thing showed up in just a few days in a giant box, and I was so stoked. Even Ryuk was stoked to see another e-bike in this garage. Started cracking this thing open to see what this thing actually looked like. I've seen this bike a bunch online lately, and it's getting pretty popular. It seems like one of the go-to mini e-bikes right now, if you will, for being a quality but yet still cheap type of bike. So we start pulling the wheels out, and the rest is pretty easy after that. We just pull the bike out of the box and kind of throw the shock in, which just needs the one bolt, and start stripping down all this plastic, which I began to realize was going to be a nightmare. It looks like they wrapped the panels and then assembled the bike, so the plastic actually runs underneath the panels and underneath the seat completely. So it was bothering me. I actually ended up going back later on, which you will see, and pulling off all the panels to redo that. But here we have everything that came with it. So a toolkit, 1 foot peg, the handlebar clamps, a charger, and a little case. This is when I was stripping the seat off and then stripping off the side panels to get that leftover plastic that was wrapped around. The 1 foot peg, easy enough. We threw that in with 1 pin and then a cotter pin on the back, and then the handlebars is just 2 clamps and then 4 bolts for the handlebars. Slide our front wheel and our caliper on, and the rest is just throttle and a front brake. And now we are ready to take this thing out to the desert and give this thing some proper testing. We are out in the desert now, and we're testing out the Yozma. The first test we're going to do here is a little loose gravel hill climb. So it is a little soft dirt out here, and I put it in the second setting of speed just to have a little bit less torque so it doesn't spin the wheel as quick, and it climbed up it no problem at all. Oh, it made it up so easy, actually.
It was actually so easy that my girlfriend thought that she can do it, and she's only rode a 2-wheel bike a few times in the dirt. And she was feeling pretty confident in this after hopping on the Yozma and riding it through the little bit of trail that we had. And due to its lightweight, it was kind of easy for her to maneuver it. I mean, easier than it would be on a full-size bike, I guess. She lined it up for the hill climb, and she sent it up the hill. She wanted it in the lowest setting, and it didn't really have enough power to get up the hill in that speed setting. So we ended up just pushing it up there for her, and she rode the rest of the trail completely fine. She's never really rode anything much before other than a scooter or two on the streets. It's such an easy bike with there being no gears, electric, and anyone can just hop on this thing and go hit the trails.
The thing's doing pretty good up here. Even on my 110 has to struggle through this. Wow. The Yozma Eats going up this. I have not bottomed it out yet. I was thinking for sure with my weight, the suspension really doesn't droop that much. This thing is pretty dialed. Oh! Okay. Why is my foot getting caught on the kickstand? Dude, it's taking a beating up this thing. For a small little e-bike, I am surprised how good this thing is doing off-road. This does not feel like a super cheap budget e-bike at all when it comes to suspension right now.
We continued ripping up the trail on the Yozma, and honestly, I was very impressed with the suspension on this thing. Lately, with the last 2 e-bikes that we have tested, both the suspension blew me away. I feel like I always had problems with my 110 going up this trail, with it bottoming out to the point where I would just stand up at half the time. This thing ate through these huge rocks. Like, this is a rocky trail. If you look here, we are going over boulders half this time, where I know camera doesn't do justice of hills, but we are literally on the side of a mountain above the entire city now, just from riding the little bit we did. So these inclines on these hills are actually very steep, more than it actually looks like. We are already on an existing incline.
That's a steep hill. Let's see what the Yozma got. Oh! Oh! Eater. Eater! Well, the Yozma made it to the peak, and I wanted to see if I could jump this thing, but given the bottom is a little bit of a bump, I don't know if I trust it on these smaller tires. That gap is pretty rough on the bottom right there. But I did jump that on the Suron. If you go look at the older videos on the Suron, those wheels are a little bigger. This one, it was a little bit harder of an impact on that bottom piece. This thing definitely passes my expectations for what a little 110 pitter would be like on this trail. If anything, when I used to ride my 110 out here in the older videos, I think that it was a lot rougher. This thing's a lot lighter for its power. I don't know what the other side of this looks like, but oh, this one. Oh, we just framed it, but it actually did not bottom out. But that had no lip left on that jump. What is this one? See, some of these I don't know what the land. Ooh, that one's kind of a big one. That one been pretty fun. But the Yozma definitely passes our off-road test. This thing rips, dude. No shifting needed, nothing, dude. So it's really fun out here too. You're not just constantly up and down shifting on these rocky parts right here. Give it some throttle and she's gone. I keep feeling like we're about to whack the bottom of this bike on these rocks, but it is cleared so far. I'm waiting for it though. I am waiting for it. Man, we rode pretty far on this thing. Alright, Yozma top speed test. We're in the setting 3. We're only seeing about 40 miles per hour. It definitely has a limiter on it right now at 38. So we gotta figure out how to shut that limiter off. I did not realize that. We also have to shut off the sensor so we can actually hit the brake and the throttle at the same time for wheelies. But off-road wise, the Yozma is nice, boys. There we go. Yozma wheelies. Oh! Oh! We are ripping on the flats on the dirts though. I wish I changed the speed setting or the limiter before we came out here. That means we'll have to go back to the garage and do that and then go take it for a street test. We're still hitting 38 on the flats, the graded dirt here. But I can feel the bike, like once it hits there, hits the limiter. It kind of like cuts power. So, should be an easy fix. I wonder, maybe we'll probably get about 45 on this thing once we get rid of that limiter right there. All right, so review on the Yozma so far. We probably rode it maybe 10-15 miles through some trails. Now this bike is perfect for pretty much what we were just riding on. This is like a pit bike, kind of like a 110, except it's a little bit more like user friendly. Anyone can pretty much hop on this ride. There's no gears, but this is a review and I have 2 complaints right off the rip. Number 1, the most annoying thing when I'm riding it right now is this kickstand. So I think they could have mounted this kickstand a little bit better position, because when I'm riding it with my feet that are pretty big, my foot's pretty much like I put the front of my foot on the peg and the back of my foot's kind of resting on this kickstand the entire time. So I might make it where it kind of stays right here or something. Maybe just ditch the kickstand. It's very annoying though. Every time I'm riding, my foot's hitting this the whole time. That, and then as I discovered earlier when we were pulling this thing out for the charger cable is so short that the charger basically has to hang or kind of be set on the bike in an awkward position for the charger box to be laying flat. So it's kind of a weird situation. I think they could have added like a foot longer to the cable and avoided all those problems. All in all, this is a $1,300 E-moto right here. And if we're going off the price, I think you get way more bike than that price actually is. It is a little bit smaller. Like I said, it's kind of like a pit bike, as you can see. Sometimes that's make or break on some of these cheap bikes. Sometimes they are just way too soggy in suspension and they don't hold up to the weight. This thing has very, very good suspension actually. And as you can see, when I sit on it, I'm 170 pounds, and even full weight, the suspension really doesn't go down too much. It doesn't sag all the way down. Like, it still has a ton of suspension. So the clearance is all there. When we were just riding on that trail, we were going over huge boulders. Not one boulder hit the bottom of this thing. Overall though, the bang for your buck with $1,300 e-bike right here, this thing is sick. You know, when me and all my friends wanted the little pit bikes and no one wants to spend like $3,500 at a dealership for a little 110 that they're just gonna thrash all the time, this is what's gonna kill like the pit bike game and the 110 game. But as you saw, we do need to get the full power out of this thing. I know there's more power in here. This is a 2600 watt motor and a 48 volt battery. I know there's more potential in here. We just got to figure out on where the limiter and sensor is, and let's go back to the garage, see if we can't figure that out, and shut off the brake switch sensor as well, because I think that's what's killing me on these wheelies. All right, boys, we just got back from riding. We pulled the Yozma out for the first test out in the desert, and boys, I have to say I am impressed. But this one actually looks really, really good. If you're looking at cheap e-bikes, you're gonna find a few in this price range that this one sits, maybe $100 less. But you have to look at the specs. This has a 2600 watt motor on it. The cheapest e-bike we reviewed last time, which was the 2TO, is only 2000 watt. And for $100 more, that $100 gets you a lot more bike. This one, the charge time is about a couple hours less. I think it's even lighter. I wasn't a big fan on the 2TO how this hung over kind of like the throttle hand, and you were kind of like hitting your hand on it. It was kind of a weird placement for it. I really like how everything is placed on this bike, except my one complaint about the kickstand. With all the talk about the bike and how it handled off-road, we do have to try something else here, and that is to get a little bit more power out of this bike. About 146 Newton meters of torque, about 40 miles per hour. I saw 38 miles per hour, as you saw. We got a 23.4 amp hour battery, 53 mile range, and a max load of 265. 265, that is a lot for this little bike. But like I said, I'm 170, and the suspension is really good on this bike. It barely sagged. And I like that the grips on it are actual, almost exactly like all the grips I run on my scooters. These ODI grips, as you can see with the tread, just like that. They're really nice and soft. Typically, these cheap e-bikes come with really hard plastic grips. But with the top speed maxing out about 38 miles per hour, I know we got some potential here to do some mods on this bike to get a little bit of power. This is what we're using right now to gain more power out of our bikes. We're gonna plug this in, and then we're gonna tune it on our phone. To be able to plug this in, you gotta come in here and unbolt this right here around that computer area. We're also gonna unplug the brake switch sensors while we're in there. So then we can actually do way better wheelies, because every time we hit the brake right now, it kills the motor. All right, boys, let's come in here and get to some of this wiring so we can kind of figure out what's going on here. But this is a perfect chance to tell you that if you are interested in the Yozma and you like this video, maybe you want to get a Yozma for yourself, maybe even for your kid, probably for you in the end, because you can ride it too. But Yozma was nice enough to give us a code for my followers on the channel. So if you use the code MOPBOYZ, you're gonna get 5% off this bike right now. So you can use the link up here in the top corner of the video or down in the description below, and go check out their website. There's a lot more that you can do to these things than what I'm just doing today. All right, so we're looking for a plug that is already unplugged, and that should be this one. That kind of looks like the one for our dongle. And I guess we'll know if we turn the key and we get a light. All right, that is definitely it right there. So we gotta get our phone out and connect that bad boy. Let's tune this thing up, bro.
And we also need to disconnect our brake switches, which these two identical plugs are probably it right now. All right, I unplugged the dongle for a second, but it looks like the two red and black ones that were identical that we unplugged were in fact the brake one, because now you can hit the brake, do a burnout. Now the throttle works when you're hitting the brakes. Awesome. Now let's tune this thing. All right, we'll turn that thing back on. We got our light going down there on our Bluetooth dongle. All right, we are going with the same setup we did on our 2TO. So we're coming in here, we're swapping everything before 6,000 RPMs up to 100%, and then we'll change the rest. I'll put the actual specs right here on the screen that I'm doing. This is just what I've seen used before, so we're gonna try it.
All right, boys, we are street testing the Yozma after our power upgrade, and I can already tell we got some more speed out of this thing. And there's 39, there's 40, 42, 43. Oh man, 44. Oh, we're hitting 45. 45, easy. 46. Nope, a little over 45. We're creeping up on that 46. We're kind of going up a hill. We just almost unlocked 10 more miles per hour just by simply doing that on our phone. That is crazy. This thing is way faster now. You can totally feel the difference. You're only going 38 before and you get 10 miles per hour more. That's 25% more power right there. Now don't get me wrong, I loved the 2TO. I thought the 2TO was awesome for being a cheap little e-bike, but this thing, $100 more, man, it blows the 2TO out of the water. Feels so much better. So this is the one we're gonna be messing with. This is the one we're gonna be upgrading. And we just did that little bit of power upgrade. Already made this thing way, way better. I've seen a lot of people change the wheels on these. I'm not sure if there's an advantage to that, if they're lighter or what the deal is, but they get the one-piece wheels instead of like the spoked bike wheels. So, all right, we got a little bit better of a downhill here, the flats. Let's see if we can. Definitely over 45 right now. Oh yeah, we're 46. 46, 47. Oh, 48. 48. Oh my God, 49 miles per hour. I don't know if you can see that. We're going 50. 50 miles per hour right now. Okay, that might not be the best for the motor though, because probably a lot of stress on that tune. We just gained 12 miles per hour on the Yozma. I hope you're able to see the speed here on the gauge. 50 miles per hour on this thing. And we got the brake thing working, so now we can do burnouts. Oh, I just peeled all that paint right off. That's why my garage floors are screwed. Alright, that is going to do it for the first look at our Yozma In10 bike right here. I cannot believe they were able to just get 12 more miles per hour out of this thing. This thing does 50 miles per hour now. I wish we had it like that when we were on the dirt trail, because we could have really used that little bit of extra power getting up the trail. And now I'm even more excited to see what else we could do with this thing, because I feel like we can even get more power out of this. I see a lot of people do battery swaps, and I really like this platform of the bike, so I'm a lot more motivated to add some more parts to this thing. So that is going to do it for this one. If you want to grab a Yozma yourself, you can go to the link in the description down below and use code MOPBOYZ and save 5% on one of these bikes right now. And actually, as this video is dropping, in just a few days, Yozma is actually starting their Black Friday sale. So stay tuned for that and check out their website. You might be able to even get a better deal on one of these bikes. That's going to do it for this one, boys. I will see you guys in the next video.